For starters, Oscar, we are on record for congratulating our colleagues on this new entity. There's been numerous entities, there's been numerous formations, numerous groupings, and for us, with the birthing of each one, as long as it's geared towards transition, change in our country, we welcome it. We welcome it. You see, the struggle we're involved in is like putting down an elephant. Some will hold the tail, others will hold the neck area, others will hold the, I don't know, the stomach or whatever. Others will hold the trunk, you know. The more the better. The more the better, because if I'm holding the trunk, I'm happy if somebody else is pulling the tail. I'm happy if somebody else is, you know, holding another area. So for us, every initiative that is geared towards change is welcome. Is welcome. There's a lot of space in this track we're involved in. Plenty. We actually need many more. And so for us, we congratulate our colleagues and we wish them well. So a couple of things, because the debate has been around. No, I'm actually serious. I'm serious. You know, Lydia is saying that I sound cynical.
Don't speak for me.
You see,
I have my time.
by the way, even if it is Moses Biaruhanga who works for Mr. Museveni today, if tomorrow he gets disgruntled and he causes regime change, I will congratulate, I'll say thank you to him. Never mind his NRM, because he has helped to deal with the problem I'm struggling to deal with. So even if it is him and Lydia who will say, but you know, even though we are NRM, we are disgruntled about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, we are also saying no, and they push out the dictatorship. They will be heroes to me, you know. So every effort is welcome, for heaven's sake. We need as many more involvements as possible. You see, for us as NUP, we have wanted some kind of joint efforts for a very long time. We before elections, we held over 20 meetings with our elder, Dr. Besigye, whom we hold in very high regard to date. You know, some of the meetings were at his house, some of the meetings were at Lord Mayor's house. One of the meetings, incidentally, was at OHT Wasebogwa's place. Of course, later on now, we see she's working for Mr. Museveni. Anyway, we held several meetings. And that time, we had an election around the corner. And we said, guys, an election is just one of the avenues we can use to fight. Now that it's available, how can we rally around it? We know that it's convoluted business dealing with the dictatorship in an election that is organized. But it's a rallying place, you know. You use it as a front also. And so we said, how do we do this? Is there a way we can work together? Is it possible for us to even have, say, a joint candidate? And as we kept having these conversations, our colleagues in the FDC, led by the Honorable Power, said, look, we are not ready for that conversation. We have internal dynamics and so on, NEC and so on. And we said, no worries, really. Let's see how things go. Eventually, everybody produced a candidate, and we said, even though everyone has produced a candidate, we can have a meeting point. And you remember we held a press conference, a joint one at Hotel Africana, and we were saying, yes, everybody has produced a candidate, but we are all interested in the same thing. We were not able to have a joint candidate. It is okay. Let's fight together. And, you know, we kept fighting together on different issues. Whenever there was brutality in one camp, the other camp spoke out, etc., as a way of working together. After the election, we said, well, the election is out of the way, but the struggle continues. We wrote to our colleagues, and all of them responded, except the Honorable Patrick Oboya Muriat. We were saying, can we have a conversation? Can we push this conversation forward? The election is done, but the struggle is not. What we intend for has not come to pass. And so JEMA responded. We went and paid them a visit. ANT responded. General Mugisha Muntu. I said they were dealing with one or two things, but we shall have time to engage, and we anyway have had time to engage severally. Power did not. We again reached out, and he refused to respond. We did get annoyed, you know. It is well. It happens for whatever reasons, you know, we did. And it is okay. We did not take it in bad faith. When you write somebody a letter, they can choose to reply or not reply. And when they don't reply, it's their prerogative, you know. And we're not able to have a chance to, you know,
I'm
discuss
trying to fast
many
forward
of these issues.
to people's
So
front
fast
for
forward
transition.
comes in people's front. So we're invited to join it. And so you were saying in your opening remarks, Oscar, that you said we are not ready. No, we didn't say we are not ready. We were emphatic that we are not able to join the front as an entity. And in our telling them we are not able to join, we are saying it doesn't mean we can't work together. There was people's government and there was people power. We didn't join people's government, they didn't join people power, but we worked together. As you saw, we held a couple of activities and engagements and so on, without necessarily being under the same roof. And so that's what we told our colleagues, you know. We said, look, we are not able to join you, but we don't have to. You don't have to worry about us not joining you. We can still work together. Even though there were challenges as we kept reaching out, you know. For example, there's a time we, one of the issues again, we told our elder, whom again as I've said, we hold in very high regard, Dr. Leslie, said, hey, now, so the people that you are with currently, you remember when we were having a series of meetings, over 20 of them, some of these people, you told us, as we were inviting you to, you know, for us to work together, you told us you don't trust some of these people, and that was part of your hesitation. So we're saying, what has happened now? Do you trust them all of a sudden? Because many of these people actually, who were with them in the People Power movement, and he had concerns. He said, I've dealt with many of these people before, and I know them, I don't quite trust them. And we respected his opinion, you know. We said, okay, maybe that's your challenge, that's why you're not able to jail properly with us. At the time with People Power. So now we're asking, so but now they are the people you have formed this with. What has changed? Do you now trust them? And so on.
Politics is fluid. Final question.
It wasn't too clear. So anyhow, for us, we said it is well. We shall find ways of working together, and we have demonstrated that. That's why we even wrote. Even though at the time we wrote saying, "Can we operate together?" Senior leaders within, I'm not afraid to call it our elder party. It has been around FDC. You know, you had them say, "No, we cannot work with these NUP people. They are misfits." They said all manner of things.
We didn't trust you.
Honorable Salam Musumba, the Honorable Nandala Mafabi, the party president. They said all sorts of things in the media. But nonetheless, we didn't get annoyed. We didn't say, we still tried to reach out.
It usually happens when a junior team comes in.
It's the right thing to do.
Squeeze in a question before we move the microphone. This week, as I was preparing for the show, as I was preparing for the show, I did ask her, and someone was telling, some elders, so to speak, were telling me, the challenge with NUP is that some of their elderly, experienced politicians are a bit fatigued, because remember they maybe came from DP or FPC.
Like who?
I don't know to mention names in my capacity as moderator. Then they told me then others are young. This election has really fatigued them as well. The young ones, they said, like Ssenyonyi. You know, he was in school, he's coming through a grueling election, now even added. So he said they need at least 1 year of settling in. That's why they are quiet and not doing anything. How do you take that?
I don't know what being quiet and not doing anything means. There's been lots of happenings. Remember after the election we had colleagues that we kept fighting to get out of jail. Eventually they did. They put up others and so on. Work on a number of things on different fronts, in parliament, in councils, etc., etc. And so there's a couple of things that we've been able to do after the election. Even though at the time we were preoccupied with getting our colleagues out of jail, the Nubian leads, and so on, people who were being killed, people who were hospitalized, dealing with all those different things, many of which we are still dealing with, and even as we keep fighting. But I also wanted to make mention of something. Because I've had colleagues, and you notice I call them colleagues, because they are, you know, people can say what they want to say, but they are colleagues in the front.
Just mention quickly.
Who have said, no, you see the challenge with these NUP people, and I've read the documents, you know, for them they're focused on elections. For us, no, it is a struggle. And I thought, but you know, it's good to be honest. It's good to be honest, because our colleagues have actually participated in more elections than we have, you know. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So they cannot say, for us, ours is just elections. Elections, we use them as a fighting front. When they're around the corner, we use them, you know. But we are not saying they are the ending of themselves. Okay. No, after them, you know. But for each of our
your word is, you shall work with them.
Without a doubt.
Let's go to Nampi.
For as long as, you know, the motive and the aspirations are the same, we shall certainly be able to
Namfi?
connect.
What is the question, Oscar?
The question.
Fire the question.
Get the microphone to you.
For us to ask for a question.
For someone
No.
to start.
People's Front for
People's
Transition. Joe here says,
Red card.
any work is good, they shall work with them.
Oscar, what is happening reminds me, and reading social media since this People's Front for Democratic Change was created, reminds me of what they call the crab mentality, where crabs in a bucket, trapped, will attack each other as opposed to attacking the trapper. Instead of climbing onto each other to get out of the bucket to their freedom, they'll instead come at each other, and in the end, no crab gets out of the bucket. FDC and NUP are there. And this doesn't help anybody. Actually, it benefits NRM. As you can see, Moses is gleeful because this works in their favor. And it begs the question, is any of these parties aiming for this? Because for me, sometimes I leave the methodology, see the result, and then work backwards to see whether maybe, just maybe, one of these parties is working for this or both of them. But aside from conjecture and speculation, we have to try and get into the minds of the people behind the creation of the Red Card Party. The choice of color and the choice of decision to make there. Last week I was hesitant to comment on this because I don't want to descend into the arena of back and forth insults like what has been going on on social media. I wanted to know, by this week I thought the agenda will come out, their strategy will come out, and then we can have a better discussion of that. What is their strategy? How does it loop in into the general position? Looking at it for me, it just shows me that for the last 20 years, I don't think FDC, and in particular, General Kizza Besigye, not General, what is his, Colonel Kizza Besigye, has learned any lessons. I read in the Monitor, he was calling himself an expert in trying to remove General Museveni. Moses has snickered. I did not snicker. And for you to call yourself an expert, you have to have succeeded maybe. Maybe he's an expert in trying, not in removing. Because when you call yourself an expert in removing, after having how many chances of removing him and you did not succeed, maybe just maybe you could let other people. Because one of the fights that he has with President Museveni is clinging onto power, not giving other people a chance to do or maybe just do better than he did.
He has
And
given
yet,
you a chance. You haven't grabbed
he
it.
did the very same thing. And like we've said before,
He didn't stand in the last election, you remember?
he didn't stand, but his
So
actions,
He gave a chance.
like Ssenyonyi here has been saying, his actions did not do much to help those who stood after him to get this elephant out of power. And for me, it points to the fact that, I mean, let me start from saying that you cannot deny his contribution to the fight against for democracy in this country. To do that would be false. But let's be honest and have an honest conversation. And I think honest conversation, because in the end we play into the hands of the enemy. Because don't think those so-called NUP on social media abusing General Kizza Besigye for creating this party are NUP. No, those are NRM people. And if you haven't been following the social media accounts that were closed, you remember by Facebook and by Twitter, those accounts turned out to be the accounts that were the NUP extremists. And yet, we learn later that they come from the very same IP addresses of some of the surrogates of NRM. This is fact.
That is true, but the NUP people also can.
The NUP are vicious.
Oh.
But look, at the end of the day,
Maybe
I
sponsored by
have
Joy.
had FDC people come at
Also
me.
insult.
You don't hear
Yes,
insults.
but let me tell you,
That's
before
why I said
NUP,
sponsored by.
before NUP,
They
I had
come for
FDC people
you.
come for me, guns blazing. Was I bothered? No, none of them feeds me. I get on with my life. So for I would kindly, gently advise Colonel Kizza Besigye to even ignore that, because right now, 2 weeks down the road, for that to be the conversation, it's derailing us from what the point is. The point is better democracy, better lives for Ugandans, better leadership for this country. Is that what we are discussing since this Red Card Front Party, whatever it's called, was created? No. And if that's not the discussion we are having,
So you're
check
saying
yourself.
he should ignore it and put out the
Thank you.
strategy.
Exactly. And let me tell you, once something is working, people will hold on to that. Look at NUP. You can't have two bulls in a crowd. NUP think they are a young bull, young but a bull. And then here you have Besigye, the aging bull. You think NUP with their gains, with the more traction they've made, they are going to go under Kano Kizza Besigye's stewardship after his failings? Because look, they are looking at the failings. That is why they were created. They are not. And for him to expect otherwise, for me, is naivety on his part. And I don't expect him to be naive at this point. Where should we be looking? Look at the gains NUP made. President Museveni did not win this election.
So you keep
Apart
telling
from-
you that they are not enough.
Apart from the cheating he did, right now, in the areas which NUP didn't win, if an election was held next year, if they hold on to their strategy and keep making progress, they can win in these areas. For example, Northern Uganda and Eastern Uganda. Because those areas did not know NUP and what it was about and its capabilities. Now they know. All they need now is to canvass those areas. And this is where their energies should be, not
Okay.
bickering with the new party. And for me also, the other thing I've noticed, FDC hasn't learned. You know, it's one thing to rebrand your shop. Say, for example, you opened Tiber. And then when parents complain that it's hygiene,
Don't use that
let me not use
example. We
Tiber.
are really struggling in
Yeah.
the school industry.
Oscar, let's say
You
Oscar
use-
Investments. You start Oscar Investments,
No, no.
and then when you're
Use
struggling,
Moses's
Moses.
Mega Yogurt.
Mega Yogurt.
Because Mega Yogurt is
yes. So when you're
Still
struggling with
struggling.
maybe Mega Yogurt has this problem, maybe it's not fresh enough or whatever the case, then you change it to Moses Yogurt. But you haven't changed anything about the particular product. Then when they start complaining about Moses Yogurt, it's late in the market, it's this, it's that, you change it to Biaruhanga Yogurt. Kind of like President Museveni, Tibu Habura, Tibu whatever, all those names he keeps changing to without changing his character, thinking that they are good. But back to my point. My point is rebranding is all good. And anyone in economics will tell you, rebrand so that you can gain new entrants into the
Okay.
market. But the key thing at the end of the day is your product. His product is the lives of the peoples of Uganda. If he still creates another party, Kasepichi movement, people's
Thank you.
government,
The
and it
point is
doesn't do
made.
the core things that the Ugandans want him to do, aka change leadership so that they live better lives, he still is going to come to the very same
Thank
problem
you,
that he
Nancy.
had. 3 years down the road, we will have
Thank you.
now
Lydia.
whatever new party that he creates. Or
Sometimes-
movement,
Thank
or
you.
whatever, or Chisinde, or I don't know.
When you have Nampi, even when she's going against Dr. Kepi, she still finds a way to squeeze in like Ssenyonyi.
The elephant
The
in the room.
So,
Takes up all the space.
as Nampi is saying, you people in the NRM are very amused and you now support the